Walkout, you tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
Broadcasting live from downtown Las Vegas, you're tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.
I like it. What's up, everyone? Jeremy Long here with Levels. Welcome to the show. Having fun here on a cool Thursday evening in Vegas, joined by the Sportsnista, Cassandra. What's going on, CC?
What's happening? Everything's going on.
I know. Man, we are having fun down here right off Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas. Here with Quan 5'9", doing the thing on the producer end of things, making us look good, sound good, and having fun, man. So welcome to the show. Number one, let's start out with explaining what Levels is, because some people are like, is it a video game show? What is this? What are you guys even doing here? This is a MMA boxing combat sports show mixed in with great interviews. We're going to have all kinds of guests coming up, but we wanted to give you a steady dose of us before we started introducing you to our guests and everything. Because CC, I'm not trying to speak for you here, but CC covers the biggest fights that come to Vegas, both MMA and boxing. You see her everywhere. She's got tons and tons of followers on Instagram.
In the streets.
She's on the streets. She's in the streets. She is the streets. So CC, introduce yourself a little bit, talk a little bit about what you do and why you're on our show here.
Hey, so I'm Cassandra Cousineau, known as the Sportsnista. I cover combat sports, anything to do with fighting. I like to talk about it, like to be there. I also cover some women's sports as well, WNBA, but also I'll be talking to the gals who like to fight too.
Yeah.
So that's where I'll be.
Yeah. So we're going to have fun. We cut up a lot. And, if you're a holdover from our other show, The Final Countdown, you get used to this. A steady block of fun and sports. And this is the time of the evening where we get a little bit violent. And we talk some blood and guts and everything. First, some news this morning broke. Early this morning, a unified welterweight champion, Errol Spence Jr., in a terrible car accident in Dallas. He is a native of DeSoto, right outside of Dallas. Now videos circulating around his Ferrari seen flipping multiple times in a horrific crash. He gets ejected from the vehicle. And, first thing this morning, everyone's kind of fearing for the worst. But, Cece, can you update us a little bit of what you're hearing, what's being reported about his condition?
Yeah, within the last hour, we had an update that they're seeing no broken bones, no major injuries. He's now out of critical condition. They've upgraded him to stable. He was ejected from the vehicle, and if anyone's seen the crash, it was horrific. It was violent. Really scary stuff. It was at about 3 a.m, somewhere around there. What's crazy is I literally was watching this dude on his Instagram stories in the wee hours in the morning. And I was like, look at him having fun out there clowning in the club with his boys, acting silly. And then just, minutes later, he leaves and all of this happens. And so he's very lucky to be alive if you look at it. And a lot of folks have said that perhaps his life was saved by the fact he was ejected from the car. Perhaps he would have been in worse condition if he was strapped in there and actually had a seatbelt on.
Yeah. The scary thing about that is that, Quan and I were kind of talking about it a while ago, that some people may take that as reinforcement of the fact that, I don't wear seatbelts for those reasons or something like that.
Y'all fools, you better wear your seatbelt.
You got to understand, you got to look at the odds here. The odds that Errol Spence right now is walking away with no broken bones. A couple of teeth fractures. He has some facial lacerations, but no broken bones whatsoever. Most times this is not going to happen, folks. Right. Most times people are dead. You get ejected from a vehicle, you don't land on pillows.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
You're landing on concrete and everything else. You're skidding on the ground depending on how fast you're going. That's a scary thing, man. That's really scary. And
it's bananas. And you know what? I wouldn't want to face him next. If he makes it back to the ring, Sean Porter can take him out. The Ferrari flipping over can take him out. What you think you gonna do?
Come on, Bud Crawford. What you think you're gonna do? Manny
Come
Pacquiao.
On,
but seriously, our hearts go out to him, and his family that are dealing with this right now. Yeah. But looks like he's gonna make a full recovery. So
good for him.
But good for him. All right, let's talk about last weekend. What was not good for Robert Whittaker? UFC 243, and we have a new middleweight champ in the UFC. CC
Stylebender. Israel Adesanya and he's violent. And what's crazy about him is that he's not just violent in the ring. He likes it. Like Mikey likes it. He likes hearing the bones crushing. And he's like, one thing I noticed about it is he was switching to southpaw at the end of some of those exchanges. That's a scary dude.
He is.
He's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that is a next level kind of thing, and it's something that the middleweight division hasn't seen since probably Anderson Silva in his prime.
Yeah.
And that's what's, frightening is that he's been with the UFC for less than 2 years. Now, he does have an extensive kickboxing resume where he was lighting dudes up and everything. But his style, no one's been able to quite figure it out. Gastelum took him down a little bit, found out, trying to find out who this guy is on the ground is probably the key to victory for the next guys coming up. But right now, he looks like a world beater.
He's also bigger than you think. I mean, he looks like a little bit slimmer than you would see. I mean, you looked at him against Whittaker, and he just looked like he was 112 pounds, but he's not. He's 6'4", but he's got more heft to him. That I stood next to him, and I even said that. I said, "You're bigger than I thought." He was like, a lot of people say that, and I know that him and John Jones been going back and forth, which is stupid. These two don't need to even be talking about fighting, but it's fun, pick a side. But he's a legit middleweight size.
Yeah, he is a solid dude, and he is scary accurate. Mm-hmm. He doesn't throw with abandon. He's scary accurate.
It's like the Matrix.
Yeah, and there's a reason they call him the last style bender, or he calls himself that, But so we see that, but also, what caught me at first was watching the walkouts. Robert Whittaker comes out, he's the Reaper, and he's very stoic and things like that. Adesanya did he have the Jabberwockies with him? What the hell was going on with that?
It was pop and lock and fool out there. He pulled a Zoolander on us. And so
That's Zoolander.
Came out and did his thing.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. It was fun. But I was wondering, too, I was like, anytime you see somebody come out and they're clowning like that, they get mollywopped. So I was a little bit concerned about how he was going to handle his business. Like, because it was almost too cute. Like, how you learn a dance. Like, you choreographed a routine, and then you came walking. It was just surreal. It was a whole
you know what?
production.
I didn't even think about that. You
worried
went
for the
through
man.
and you choreographed a routine with these guys.
Yes.
Even though it was just a few seconds of him, moving around and stuff like that. Was that during practice? Was that an official practice somewhere? I mean, where did you?
When you did it, and then he fly these cats out?
Yeah.
Or like
no, I mean
local?
he lives there in New Zealand, right? And they were in Australia, they were probably local, but. It's still crazy. I mean, he had a dance crew.
But it was almost like they were going out and it wasn't going to be in the octagon. Like it was like, a dance off, like Who's Bad or something like that.
Yeah, like Zoolander, right? Like you mentioned Zoolander. They're breakdance fighting.
Breakdance fighting.
Wow, that's weird.
But no, he got them hands.
He got those hands, which is scary, which kind of leads me into my next point here. Thinking about his walkout and how much fun it is, because a lot of times UFC a couple years ago they kind of removed that aspect from that. They didn't want people wearing masks and stuff like that. They didn't want to be too professional wrestling, right? They didn't want to go overboard. But this one, you see Adesanya doing his thing. You kind of get this Triple H music with this other cat earlier in the evening and everything, which Triple H approved of. He's like, "Thank you for using my music." But so it got me thinking about some of the greatest walkouts, or who had the best walkouts, not only in the UFC but also in boxing as well. And what are your thoughts? Who in your mind had some of the best walkouts or most intimidating walkouts?
I cited the intensity of Ronda Rousey coming out, but I'm gonna go kind of UFC old school and Uriah Faber. When he was in Sacramento and California Love comes on, it's a whole different kind of experience in that arena when he comes out to that. You know what I don't want to hear no more? Is Sweet Caroline. Darren Till, I'm going to let you finish, but that's not a fight song, man. It ain't a fight song.
Are you telling me
nobody?
If you hear Sweet Caroline, you don't want to punch somebody in the face?
I'm swinging on you. I'm literally
That is probably the best fight song.
I'm going to fight the air. Okay?
That or Gwen Stefani's Banana song.
Well,
You hear that, and I want to punch people.
I literally want to fight the air when I hear Sweet Caroline. Cut that mess
So
out.
when you go to Golden Knights games, it's fighting time.
It's different. It's different. I don't want to
Sweet
hear it like
Caroline.
on your way to the cage or the octagon
Yeah.
or to the ring. Stop it.
Yeah.
Quit playing.
I'll say so I wrote down Ronda Rousey because in her prime, when she was destroying people right and left, that focus, that intensity,
Yeah.
that she had her hair done up and she just had that look like, psh,
Like, I will
and
break you.
I think she won a lot of fights just with that walk up, because it kind of ties into Mike Tyson.
Mhm.
Tyson just coming out there in all black, no sponsors on his trunks, and he didn't, early in the days when he was Iron Mike Tyson, he didn't
Right.
deal around with all that. He didn't eat all that flim flam, all that. What'd you call it? I don't know, Molly something.
Yeah. He didn't need
He
nothing
didn't need the pomp
choreographed.
and circumstance. He didn't need choreographed dances. He just went out there and he just was the most intimidating guy, one of the most frightening
Yeah.
punchers and boxers of all time. And that guy just did it. He won a lot of fights.
I was
Just with
scared
that
watching
walkout.
him at home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to be too close.
We did pay for this pay-per-view. Right?
Right.
Mike Tyson in my house punching me in my face. And looking at going back to MMA, you know what? A lot of people might dog me for this. Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz, when he was the Huntington Beach bad boy, he came out there with the half USA, half Mexican flag with the skull cap on. And that was about the time of Limp Bizkit was probably big
Oh,
when
my
Tito was
goodness.
big, right? His ordeal with Chuck Liddell and everything. But he'd come out there with that flag and just amped people up, man.
Yeah,
that
that's
was a
true.
great walkout for MMA standards.
Right.
That was a great walkout.
Right. Yeah, oh man, Prince Hassim.
Oh, we have a caller?
Yeah.
Okay. Caller.
Hi, yes. I got a question.
Yeah, what's up?
How do you guys feel about Tyson Fury and Cain Velasquez transferring over from MMA and boxing, respectively, and dipping their feet into the world of professional wrestling with their rumored appearance at WWE Crown Jewel coming up at the end of the month?
Man, that's
You
a
feel
good
like it's,
that's a good question. Yeah, I like it. You know what? Here, I want to answer. Cece, you go ahead and take it.
Look, I'm for any of these fighters finding another way to cash some checks. So if that's what they want to do for their personal reasons, then let them be about their business. Me as a fan, I don't want to see like this kind of crazy crossover because you will never master the other man or woman's discipline. So it's going to be a messy fight regardless. And I know a lot of them have backgrounds in other disciplines.
Lesnar?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was still messy. You
Yeah.
know, and Brock, when's the last fight that Brock didn't pop hot? You know,
That is
in the
that's a
octagon.
I
different thing.
understand that, but I mean, Dana White still wants Brock Lesnar in the UFC, as we saw last year with his appearance with Daniel Cormier in the cage.
Yeah.
That fell through.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sad that the heavyweight division of UFC was held hostage by one time by a professional wrestler. That Dana White was willing to give Brock Lesnar an opportunity to fight for Cormier's heavyweight championship when there were much more deserving fighters that should have fought for it.
Yeah.
A rematch.
Yeah,
with,
absolutely.
what's his name?
You see, like two separate points right there. I do agree with you on that. I thought it was ridiculous. Brock Lesnar even being mentioned in the same breath as Daniel Cormier in that whole situation.
Agree.
But I do like when stars cross over into WWE territory from their own sports, and this is why. WWE has a steady and humongous fan base. And so if you're looking to grow your brand as an athlete outside of the sport that you're known for, Cain Velasquez knew he could not be an MMA fighter forever. He had to find something else. Brock Lesnar is a great example who makes millions of dollars a year based on that Brock Lesnar persona in wrestling. Tyson Fury dipping over. These guys having fun, making millions of dollars, and at the same time expanding their fan base.
Right.
To me, that's a genius marketing move. And I think it's one that's sorely needed. Now, I wouldn't go too far into that. Now, if I'm Tyson Fury and I'm still fighting for belts and I'm still relevant in the sport, I wouldn't spend all my time in pro wrestling because you might be looked at as ridiculous. But from a marketing standpoint, from eyeballs on screens and selling fights and things like that, I think it's genius, brother.
Make your money. But in terms of like a legit fight.
Don't forget, Floyd Mayweather also dipped his feet in the professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
He had that match with Big Show at WrestleMania.
Yep. I don't mind
Floyd
it going
Mayweather
that way.
Yeah. That's where the whole money persona came from. Is that his time in WWE, and from that, I mean, he made himself hundreds of millions of dollars.
Because he was Pretty Boy before that.
He was Pretty Boy Floyd before that, and then he was Money Mayweather after that. So I think it's genius, and I think it's a smart if you dip your toes in there and if you leverage those opportunities, man.
If you're a wrestling fan, you love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know that they're having the press conference at T-Mobile with Brock, Cain Velasquez, Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman, and Triple H tomorrow. It's going to be broadcasted all over WWE's platform.
Yeah, absolutely, because SmackDown is here in Vegas and everything. So yeah, absolutely. So they're going to have a lot to with
There's going to be some folding chairs in vicinity over there.
Little Cece's going to run out there with a chair and smack somebody. So we'll see how that turns out, man. Thank you so much for calling in, man. Love to hear your thoughts, brother.
Thank you for taking it.
All right.
Play. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, man. Great question, and because we are seeing that more and more. Tyson Fury and Brock Lesnar and these guys kind of crossing over sports. There's guys that are, and I say guys collectively, men and women. There's men and women in these combat sports who would make a lot of money. You see Ronda Rousey do it now, who's off air at the moment, but she's, she made a second career for herself where she's going to make tens of millions
I got a name for you too, and I'm on the fence as to how great of an idea it would be for her, because I don't want her to be stereotyped, but Clarissa Shields could actually make some headway in WWE. They would make her heel for certain, but I don't want to see no blaxploitation on her. Don't make her Foxy Brown, something crazy like that.
Well, WWE doesn't have the best race relations.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I'm looking at the pattern here, but I could see her being a personality of substance in WWE.
There's a few of them.
Amanda Nunes,
Amanda Nunes,
Cyborg. Athletic.
I know Cyborg's name has been kind of floated out
Huge
there.
Huge fan base already.
And of course, we can't deny the Conor McGregor elephant in the room. Conor McGregor in WWE would be tens of millions.
Well, he's practicing, right? Slapping old men in the face.
That's what it is? Is it all kayfabe? Right? He's breaking kayfabe. Mm-hmm. He's doing that, huh? Okay, I like that. All right, we're going to bring it back in here. Talk a little bit about the fights coming up this weekend. A little bit of controversy. Joanna and Michelle Waterson set for the main event for this weekend, but it's floating around out there that Joanna, who has a history of this in the past, may not make weight, and that main event may be in jeopardy. What are you hearing, Cece?
So recently, probably like 20 minutes before I walked in here, Joanna made a statement and said that she is going to make weight. She's a professional, and she's going to do everything she everything she can. So maybe she stopped metabolizing. I don't know. We see it happening with boxers. Ray Beltran went through it recently.
Right.
Or it was gamesmanship. And so, it messed with Michelle Waterson for a minute, because you had UFC saying, hey, you're either going to fight at a catch weight, which she did not want to do, or you will fight Jessica Andrade and get dropped on your head. She didn't want to do that either. And so she was adamant that she was either going to fight Joanna or nobody. And it just kind of goes to show, too, that UFC does have its favorites, and it will work with you whether you're wrong or not. I mean, they moved a whole card out of state for John Jones for his picograms.
That's true.
So they were going to work with Joanna and try to get a catch weight for her instead of punitive measures, because she wasn't going to make weight. And Michelle Waterson, she's been at odds with Dana for a minute now because she wants a title fight. He's on record as saying he needs her to develop more skills before she gets that title fight. And so he could see this coming, but I hope Joanna makes weight. I'd like to see this fight, and I'd like to see it as a fair fight.
This is one of those fights that I didn't know I was really interested in until it was made. Michelle Watterson, who did when she first joined the UFC, and the lady started getting more and more prominent. She had some early setbacks and a couple of key losses, but she's clawed her way back.
Yep.
And a win over Joanna would mean so much for her career. And she is trying to be the first hashtag mom champ. So, I'm all about that, man. I need to see that. But that's a tough test with Joanna, who's had all those problems making weight, man.
Right.
I can't
Move
get
up.
behind. She did. She moved up to 125 and promptly got beat. And then she comes back down. She's like, okay, maybe that's not my natural weight class.
She also, speaking of natural, and they hers because she bought them, but she's got some new appendages that could be messing with her a little bit because, it's not muscle in there. So I don't know if that contributed to it as well. But I talked with Michelle not so long ago about her quest to become mom champ and what that means for her daughter. I think her daughter must be 7 or 8. About this time, and she's so mentally strong. This is a gal who sits in, her cold pool and will do an Instagram live while she's in there freezing and just as calm as can be. Like I tried to put my foot in there like to the ankle and like punked out. I couldn't do it.
Hey,
So
these are tough ladies. Man.
She's mentally strong.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her do it, but we cannot overlook what a beast Joanna has been. She had a couple of tough losses, lost her title as well. But she can scrap.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough fight.
And this is a great card too. Good fight night card from Tampa. Cub Swanson, Ron Gracie, Nico Price, James Vick, Mackenzie Dern makes her return to speaking of somebody that needs to get some skills, right? Mackenzie Dern, who's an ace on the ground. Don't get me wrong. Should tie you in knots, but needs to work on that stand up a little bit. And then of course my guy, shout out to Ryan Spann, Beaumont guy, where I'm from. Been covering this guy since he was an amateur back in the day. He's taking on Devin Clark and looking good too while he's at it. Shout out to you, Ryan. Best of luck to you, brother. And so there you go. Good looking UFC card. But we'll see what happens with that Joanna Michelle main event. I hope it sticks.
Just one quick note about that card. So looking to see what James Vick is going to come back and do. He's had a little bit of a wobbly track record after he got knocked out. But friend of the show, friend of Gorilla Cross, actually, Brock Weaver, who recently got a contract through Dana White's Contender Series. This was supposed to be his debut. He's off the card. He has been tweeting and had a couple of interviews that said, I'm not injured, I'm not sick, and I'm on weight. It was a UFC decision. So we don't know exactly why he's off that card and why he's not making his debut. Brock would have been, and he still will be, we'll see him again, the first Native American to actually fight in the UFC, earn a contract, and to fight in the UFC. So kid from Oklahoma, really explosive, fun guy. So, I want to hear a little bit more about what had happened there.
There's always something going on with UFC. You never know.
And I know he likes going out with all his garb on, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I doubt it. Because he didn't let that stop him for the Contender Series.
No,
because he was wearing it, they made him take it off.
Right.
And you don't know. I mean, they may have moved him to a different card or something like that. Maybe a matchmaking thing. It may be
they might have needed
something
him elsewhere.
that hasn't been released yet. So
want to see you, boy.
We want to see you. We want to see you. Speaking of seeing things, is it just me or did Triple G look just terrible this last weekend?
Terrible.
He won a decision. I don't know how. He got beat from post to post in his fight.
He won the first.
He won the first. Yeah, okay. We'll give him the first. But then his trainer comes out and says, oh, no, he's been sick. He wasn't training as well. What are your thoughts, man? Is Triple G just old? Has time passed us by?
Guys can get old and around.
Yeah.
Or it can be in 90 seconds. So it just depends. He didn't look right. So whether he was under the weather or anything like that, don't know. He didn't look right. I also think he's missing Abel Sanchez.
Yeah.
Abel was a big part of his success in his career in the U.S. I mean, and Gennady's got a lot of mileage on him. You know, people talk about Lomachenko's amateur career, but Gennady Golovkin has had a whole lot of fights as well.
Yeah.
He's 37 years old. He is not Manny Pacquiao. So I don't expect to see him fighting until he's 40, but I think that it was a combination of how he trained and who he trained with, but also, hey, his opponent came to fight.
Yeah.
He made that adjustment after he got knocked down. It was a knockdown. And he was talking about how he slipped. He didn't know what happened. You got knocked down. That's what happened.
I don't know what happened. Which one of y'all hit?
Right. That's usually because you got hit when you don't know what happened.
Right.
But Derevyanchenko is a serious contender. He had, the split against Jacobs and then the recent decision that he lost against Gennady. But he's in the mix. I like the fact he took Gennady's best offense away from him.
Right.
Gennady Golovkin was using his jab. He's a pressure fighter. He's got a good jab, but he's a pressure fighter. Couldn't do it. Could not get on the inside.
I think going back to your original point, the Abel Sanchez, why they split, I don't know. I have no idea. And that's between those guys. Maybe there was a falling out. Maybe Triple G just wanted to save some money. I don't know what it is, but it's obviously not working. I don't buy the sick thing. These are high level athletes. They're professionals.
But you had a cold. They got bags for that, right? Get you a saline bag.
You had a cold? What? Come on, man.
My daughter had a cold. She was jumping on the monkey bars today, so you could do it.
Take it from Cece's daughter. Come on, if she could do it.
But she's bad though.
Triple G ain't got no. He ain't got no excuse, man. In your mind, does that poor outing kill any talk of a trilogy with Canelo?
For right now, it should. Well, if I'm Canelo, I'm seeing gold. All right, this is gonna be easy money. You got 365 mil. Give me a minute 20. And I'm gonna handle business there. But it's crazy to me. Where is Boo Boo Andrade? You just gonna keep overlooking that guy? Boo Boo doesn't get a shot. He Boo Boo the bear now. Boo Boo the clown. Yeah. Maybe you got to change his name. But Gennady doesn't deserve a shot at Canelo right now. He doesn't.
And Canelo's got his hands full with Sergey Kovalov. Kind of going up. Yeah. Maybe capturing another belt and everything.
Right. It's over. I was thinking about this, all this rematch talk. A fight gets settled in the ring. A lot of fighters want to get back. It wasn't the judges, man. It was it was a fight that you fought. You lost the fight. Get moving. Move on.
Move on.
Time to move on. You can't recapture that moment. And I don't think Gennady right now, based off of that performance, deserves a rematch with him. And you know what? We don't deserve that. We deserve better.
Yeah. He's going to need a couple of outings where he goes out there.
But he's 37.
And he has to go out there and look like the guy who did it. The guy who earned those fights against Canelo the first time. Otherwise, we just put that to rest because Canelo may just, formally end his career already.
He's got 3 more fights, though, under that DAZN contract.
Yeah. DAZN's handing out money.
I know.
We need to get Gorilla Cross on DAZN.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, they're handing out cash over there. They got money to burn.
They're making money over there. They're printing it.
Speaking of someone who's not printing money, Tyrone Spong pops hot. His fight with Alexander Usyk is off. The former unified cruiserweight champion will now face Chaz Witherspoon in his heavyweight debut. Have you ever been Chaz? People with the name Chaz just make me laugh, man. That's the best name. Chaz. It's like jazz, but with Chaz. Chad mixed in. We all love Chad, don't we? It's pretty funny, man. It's not funny that Spong pops hot because
but you know what is funny? But, you know what's funny is he caught another case after popping hot. This fool was up on felony charges for having an unlicensed or an uncertified cougar, and the cougar is missing.
Just for clarity, we're not talking about a foxy older lady.
Yeah, I've lost some cougars before.
I've never.
Where'd she go? She said she went to the bathroom.
I've lost some cougars, but I've never been in trouble. with the law
man.
over it.
Man, you crazy.
Okay, so we were talking about a
four-legged cougar.
an animal.
A four-legged one that clearly was never on a leash, and it probably shouldn't be on a leash. But yeah, he's got like 23 charges against him right now because of this cougar. Like, how many more problems you got? Like, is your refrigerator not running too? Like, what other like foolishness is happening in your home?
Oh,
A loose cougar? How you lose a cougar? It just walked up out your house. It climb up on the wall and roll out, or like how some dogs, if you open the door, did it run out the house?
Yeah, you see that picture of the pit bull at the kitchen window of the lady's house, right? I mean, climbing in there.
And what's your
cougars? I mean, that's a cougar. A cougar can get out.
Were you home when the cougar went?
Hey, you didn't want to see my cougar?
But popping hot, that's serious too.
Come on, Tyra.
Both of those things can hurt people. All right.
So Usyk is good to get his heavyweight debut against Chaz Witherspoon, who, if you're saying, who? Yeah, he hasn't fought in a while. Has a decently respectable record, but this is a guy who's just being served up to Usyk. His brother is Tim Witherspoon, the boxer, so there's that.
He's got some lineage, but they was trying to go get Bald Bull or somebody from Mike Tyson's Punch Out to get in there and fight this. It made no sense.
Bald Bull. Who
was the guy before Bald? Oh, the Brooklyn cat who used to wear I'm going way back to Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
There was a Glass Joe.
That's Glass Joe.
It was the first guy.
Yeah.
That was the first guy.
That's what they were trying to get.
He looks like his name should be Jazz.
It's
honestly, if the game was made now, his name would be Glass Chaz. Glass Jaw Chaz. There you go. So there you go, man. So Cougars and Glass Jaws. They're 1 in a million. All right, so let's move on to a little segment we are going to call for at the moment, at least for this first show, we're going to call this Whack or Not Whack.
And if you come out, if you don't like the name, if you think it should be something else, call us.
Yeah, we need a different name for this. We need a different name for this segment. And this is based on, is something lame or is it not lame? But we're bringing whack back. Bring
it back.
We're bringing it back like
shell-toe Adidas.
Like someone who found a cougar in the street. We're just bringing it back to someone's house. Is this your cougar? So we definitely need a new name for this segment. If you got an idea, you can call us 702-608-3259. Okay, so the Joanna Michelle ultimatum we kind of talked about earlier in the show, giving Michelle Waterson basically an ultimatum. If she misses weight, you got to fight at this catch weight, or basically you're going to kind of get buried. Cece, is that whack or is that fair?
That's whack. There's nothing fair about that. Like, hey, fight the gal who's going to drop you on your head, or fight an opponent who's going to definitely outweigh you by a significant amount. That's whack. You whack for that.
Yeah, that's a little whack, man. I don't see why. UFC. So I love the sport. I always loved MMA. I remember renting the UFC tapes. My brother would rent the tapes for us at Blockbuster Video, which is a very old-fashioned statement right there. But he rented for us, and I've always watched MMA. But I sometimes, I know Dana's your boy, Cece. I know he's your boy. Yeah. But sometimes they do some screwy things.
Well, when you get the big piece of chicken, you can determine who else gets to eat and who don't get to eat.
Are you dropping momisms on me?
That's what's happened.
Is that what you're doing?
They get the big piece of chicken.
Yeah. Okay, someone got the big piece of chicken. All right, so John Jones, Israel Adesanya with their tweet war, their twits. Are they twits? Or is it good for the sport to see these guys going back and forth who may never fight each other at all because they're in such different weight divisions?
Not whack.
Not whack.
Not whack. I like it. It's hilarious to me. When John Jones came back with, I'm not playing Dragon Ball Z. You nerd. Called him a nerd. If there's fighting words.
Call him a nerd.
You back in the day, when I was young, real young, we lived in some projects. I know, I don't know that I'm hood, but I am hood. I'm country hood. We used to go behind the building. We would play this game called Knock Your Mama Off of My Shoulder. And we would get a stick and we would put a stick on the other person's shoulder, and I'm telling you, I was like 6. And if you bad, you would knock that stick off of somebody's shoulder. But before then, you had to do the dozens, and you had to call names. And I remember this boy, because for some reason I was fighting a boy. You know, I always been like 14 pounds, but I was fighting some boy. He said, your mama's head is big. We had to fight. We had to fight. Them fighting words. So if you call in Adesanya a nerd, then they might have to fight for that.
There are so many questions in this story. There's so much to unpackage there.
I ain't right.
Why is it called "Knock Your Mama Off My Shoulder" and your mama is represented by a stick?
Because kids don't have no sense.
Okay,
You let kids like go behind a building long enough, something stupid's gonna happen.
Knock your mama off my shoulder.
Right. Like,
you know what?
bet.
I think that is in contention for names for this segment. We're gonna call it "Knock Your Mama Off Our Shoulder."
Oh my God.
It's in the running. It's in the running. Write it down, Gwen. Write it down. Okay.
I got a crayon. I'm gonna write it in a crayon, orange crayon.
So anyone who does anything in the UFC these days tends to get a Twitter reaction. Again with the Twitter reaction from one Conor McGregor. He seems to want to fight everyone online, but not actually fight anyone in person, unless you're an old man who refuses his whiskey at a bar. Is this guy getting a little lame? Is Conor McGregor getting whacked on us before our very eyes?
He's rich, very rich, and richer than that. You know, when you sniff in them bills like that, it change your perception on stuff. And yeah, how you fighting on Twitter, man? He's challenging champions. He's in line. You're not in line to the throne. You in the back of the bus right now. It's 5-6 dudes who deserve a shot right now. Not even deserve it. They earned it.
Right.
They earned their shot right now. And there's even some dudes we don't even know about who still deserve more of a shot than Conor McGregor right now. Like, plus he got some legal stuff he got to handle. I don't want to see Conor McGregor in a title shot right now.
But does it say something about the sport that he is still the money fight in
relevant.
that organization? He is still the most relevant guy, and he hasn't stepped in that cage.
Hey, I mean, on the boxing side, Floyd Mayweather can, tweet out a word.
Mayweather is still getting called.
And then all of a sudden, right? So he definitely moves the needle in combat sports. And for a moment in time, he was that dude. He was that dude until he got mollywopped. Until they
tell us
let Habib like sit on you.
Until somebody knocked his mom off his shoulder.
Tell Habib knock your mama off your shoulder. Sit down somewhere for a minute. But listen, if he comes back and he needs a fight to actually prove that he's back in this game, that's fair. But what's not fair is say I want a title shot right now. Like, where'd I do that at?
Let's move on. Clarissa Shields. Now, we've all kind of seen this kind of fallout here. People getting sucker punched. Her trainer getting sucker punched. Somebody's trainer got sucker punched.
Her trainer sucker punched somebody.
Yeah, there you go. But it wasn't her brother? Her brother.
Well, her brother sucker punched the other gal's trainer.
Yeah. So, big fallout there. The whole thing was canceled, I believe, right?
Yeah, which was wild to me. Like, why cancel her fight? I mean, you can determine who's in the corner, who's sanctioned or whatever. But now you're messing with her money. She didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, and for the other gal's trainer, I was like, how you get laid out on your off day?
Mike Tyson once said he was going to eat someone's children, and the fight still went on.
Still went on. Like, I'd be worried about that because Mike be eating ears. So why would he eat somebody's children?
That, to me, that's a little whack, man, that they would cancel.
Whack.
Now, arrest who you got to arrest, press charges where you got to press charges. But canceling the whole event, only the athletes suffered from there. They're not getting paid. Now everyone who trained with them or whatever, all the people that they have to pay, nobody's getting any money from sitting on the sidelines. And we already know female boxers don't make near as much as men, even main event stars like Clarissa Shields. So the only people suffering really there are the stars who put in the time. The athletes who put in the time there.
I think it's whack. For that.
Yeah, it's whack. And finally, really quick, the bad A, mother F title, BAMF title.
Oh, you mean mine? My bad.
Yeah. The one you gave up. You relinquished it to the UFC.
I got too much stuff
for them
do.
to use. Is this just a money grab? Is this whack or is this not?
I think it's a brilliant marketing move. It's brilliant. I mean, what it does say is that the promotion is saying y'all not getting a title shot right now, so you can go ahead. Which I think if I'm Masvidal, I'm hot as fish grease about, because that dude should be in line for a title. But this is fun, and they should be making gobs of money as a result of it. But I was like, should we have a DAF title too? Don't give. I mean, should we just have a whole bunch of alphabets? Whole bunch of
that's one right there. I hope it really doesn't break down to that. Just a whole bunch of alphabet titles. This is ridiculous. It's gotten ridiculous. Just the whole creation of. I get it. People love Nate Diaz. They love Jorge Masvidal, but these are guys who Masvidal maybe would get title shots. Nate Diaz ain't getting nowhere near a title shot.
He ain't gonna sniff, smoke, nothing.
And so I think this is kind of a lame way to give them a belt. So guys who are like, the only real fighters are the guys who stand in front of each other and throw punches and throw haymakers.
Whatever.
It gives those guys an opportunity to cheer and scream and stuff like that. And yay, Nick Diaz. He's so crazy. He flips people off and slaps them. That's great, I guess. So
do you think it delegitimizes them though as legitimate contenders though? Because I mean, Masvidal has had
not Masvidal because he's actually fighting guys that make sense. Nate Diaz has just got back into the cage. He did win, but it's going to take some time. But Diaz was never Dana White's favorite guy in the world.
Yeah, not a company
and
man.
He never really put together streaks long enough that gave him recognition for title shots and put him in line for it. So I think this is a way to highlight some guys who otherwise are not getting anywhere near it.
It's going to be a fun event. I mean, they're going to have a spectacular knockout for it to actually, be.
The Rock is going to be there. People like.
I don't want to see it go to distance. It needs something spectacular needs to happen in that fight for it to make sense.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's our segment called, at the moment, Whack or Not Whack.
No.
We need absolutely a better name for that. 702-608-3259. Otherwise, we're calling it Knock Your Mom Off Our Shoulder because that is just going to be stuck in my head. Or we could call it, if you're scared, go to church. One of these two things are going to be called. And finally, let's look at some last breaking news some stories before we head off into the sunset here. Before we get to our video, let's look at the PFL. Kayla Harrison signs a multi-year extension, long-term multi-year extension with the PFL organization to be the only fighter on their, I guess, roster that's worth anything. But I don't know. I don't keep up with PFL.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Well, PFL has, some fighters that are worth watching, some men and women who are trying to make their way basically to other promotions. Kayla is definitely one to watch. It's, I don't like the tournament style. It's bad for the fighter. It's good for the promotion. It's horrible for the fighter. You can sustain a serious injury and have to go back out there because you got to make your $14.75 because you caught a lift there. You need a lift back, and
I don't have enough to pay the lift.
Yeah, you got.
I have to be the lift driver, all the way home.
Or actually, shoot, some of them might have to take a taxi because there ain't nothing on their card, so they got to pay in cash, and that's the thing. But there is in town the Fight Dome. Which I really did like. Did they move that to Mandalay Bay? Is that
right?
Where they move it to?
It's at the Rio.
It's at They didn't move it from the Rio.
Not yet.
That's Stitch Duran's promotion. That one, I dig that one.
Oh, it's Stitch Duran. He puts together quality stuff.
It is a great venue. It's a fun night.
Yeah.
If you want to go check out the fights, that's where I would go.
Yeah, absolutely. The International Boxing Hall of Fame released their candidates
Yeah.
For selection for next year's Hall of Fame. A lot of worthy names on there. We're going to deep dive into it next week on next week's show. But names like Timothy Bradley, Diego Corrales,
B-Hop,
and Bernard Hopkins. And of course, for the first time ever, the ladies have their own ballot, and a lot of names on there. Christy Martin, Layla Ali, who else? Lucia Riker.
Yeah,
a lot of prominent pioneer fighting ladies out there.
Yeah, and on that list as well.
So we're going to kind of deep dive into that list next week. But before we go, we want to each week bring you a fight that we find online, whether it's a street fight or animal versus animal, or animal, in this case, animal versus unprepared guy. This is an old video. All right. This is a video from the early 90s. You've probably seen it before, but we wanted to bring it back. Take a look at Pinky versus the World.
He's a male cat, domestic short hair. He's available for adoption. He's pet of the week, Placer County Animal Shelter. He's a very loving cat.
Hang on to us, please.
Uh-oh. Things about to go sideways.
Pinky, whoa.
We got a wildcat on our hands.
Uh-huh. That's your first warning.
Settle down, bud. Careful, Cole. Careful. Why don't I get a catch pole?
Uh-oh.
Somebody get a catch pole.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Just set it over there. Get a catch pole.
Catch our phone again.
Yeah, because I'm not going to grab him.
Uh-oh. Dude. I think it's caught up in there. Disconnected from the deck.
Look at second now. You got what you got.
So funny.
You had it coming, right? I mean, who put a cat on a leash in the first place?
You're going to break down this fight. It's so funny. Again, this is an old video.
What happened was he ain't used enough head movement.
How you gonna stand there? Okay, number one, my man's got the tightest jeans on this side of the Mississippi. I mean, he's got some tight, like that's back in the day. That's like Jordache jeans right there. Okay, and I don't care what it is. Whoever's angry at you, whether it's Pinky the cat, a wild rhinoceros, or your wife, you don't let somebody that angry at you between your legs to do max damage to anything you got going on there.
You just did a real public service right there, Jeremy.
You kind of asking for it at that point.
Did.
But the screams at the
man,
I know my man got bit hard, and that sucked for him.
That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, that was in the early 90s. That was in the early 90s. Pinky got away. You could see at the end.
Pinky should catch a case off of that. Like, that wasn't a fair fight. And the corner was whack. The corner just threw a little box in there.
The lady at the end just threw a box on her.
Right,
like, how you gonna take one of those little cat boxes from PetSmart, throw it on her? It should be fine.
Just throw it on her.
Now, come on, man. That's you got a bad corner. You got Triple G's corner. That's Triple G's corner coming out there with a cat box, trying to get Pinky in there. I looked it up. I tried to find out what happened to Pinky the cat. There are no records. Like,
Pinky
no one
gangster. Like
that was it. After that was his adoption video.
Yeah.
I don't think he got adopted. You can't tame wild things.
Pinky was institutionalized.
Wild things.
You can't change. You know, I want that on a shirt. You can't tame wild things.
That is from Breakfast at Tiffany's. I'm bringing y'all back to the day. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for the calls and everything. Thanks for all the comments here on Facebook. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking our page, Levels Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us all across there.
We're on Twitter and Instagram. We're there.
Yeah, I think we just set those up. So, don't be afraid to be the first person there to like our stuff.
Don't be
We just set it up. We're going to be here each and every week downtown Las Vegas, Gorilla Cross Studios, along with all the other incredible shows that they have. Girl Chat Sports.
Hey, Girl Chat.
Unnamed sports show, Let the Ball Bounce, where if you're scared, you better go to church. Those guys, produced here by my guy, Quan59. So we're going to have fun here. Of course, the final countdown, which precedes this show right here. So join us each and every single week. We're going to talk the best in combat sports every single time. And we're going to have fun doing it, as you see with Pinky the Cat. We're going to track him down, see what happens to him. So for Sportsnista over there,
Hey,
Cassandra
hey.
Cusino CC. I'm Jeremy Long. He's Quan59. We'll see you next week.
The real hip hop. Yo, you tuned in to Gorilla Cross Radio.